welcome to my first video. I'm Amber. For those of you who have been following my journey on Instagram, you'll know that I went to Asia for 4 months, which was a really awesome experience, but I also got asked a lot of questions about what my experience was traveling by myself, if I was scared, was it safe, that type of thing. So that's kind of what I'm going to be going through today. The information that I'm telling you will relate to the specific countries that I went to, which was Indonesia. However, I only went to Bali, so that's the only island I'll be talking about. I also went to Singapore, Malaysia, Vietnam, Laos and Thailand. I was 18 when I left for the trip, which was at the end of January. I actually turned 19 in Vietnam, so that was a really cool experience. I had my 19th birthday in another country. For the majority of my trip I travelled solo, but for 1 month of it my friend actually came over and we travelled together. So I'm going to go through the pros and cons of travelling by yourself and travelling with a friend. So first of all, my overall experience was that I really do enjoy travelling alone because you're not limited to always like hanging out with the one person, which can be a good thing, but for me I really like just being able to be completely independent. I have the choice of either like just doing something by myself or choosing to go find some people to hang out with. Traveling by yourself also means that you're not really tied to someone else, obviously, so you can be free to move around. You're not working on someone's schedule or anything like that. However, having a friend with you means that you do always have someone to do something with, because at times, I mean, it can get lonely. It wasn't really a big deal for me, but at least when you have someone else, you're kind of more motivated to go and actually do some things. It can be a bit harder to meet people when you're with a friend because you kind of tend to just be in your own little friend bubble. While I was with my friend, we did still meet some really awesome people, especially in Vietnam. We made really good friends with these two guys who we travelled with pretty much the whole month we were there. So that was a really cool experience. It usually is a lot cheaper when you have someone else, especially if you're a couple or maybe you've got a few friends, then you can split accommodation costs. We were staying in hostels, so the price is still the same per bed. It can be a lot cheaper. I've always got someone to share a meal with. Keep in mind that if you are planning on traveling with a friend, make sure you're both clear on what you want for the trip and make sure that you're actually interested in doing the same type of thing. The other thing is being able to give each other space, especially if you're traveling for longer than like 1 or 2 weeks. You can really start to get on each other's nerves a bit, which definitely happened, but it wasn't a big deal. Like, we didn't have a fight or anything like that. It was more just kind of like like brooding, at least for me, because I don't really like to express it. But that's the thing, just being able to express when you do need the space and not being mad at the other person if they ask you to do that, and not being afraid to tell the person. So I think that was something that I probably could have done a bit better, was being able to ask for the space when I needed it. So I was kind of just like, I need to zen. So I put out to Instagram for you guys to ask me some questions, and I'm going to answer a few of them now. What did my parents say? All my parents were supportive of it, but my dad was especially like, you know what, yeah, go do it. You'll have a great time, take awesome photos, see you when you get back. That was basically the gist of what he said. My stepmom was really excited for me as well. They've both been to parts of Southeast Asia and they loved it. My mum and my stepdad, who haven't been there, were a little bit more wary because they kind of thought it was a bit dangerous for me to travel by myself at such a young age, being a blonde female girl. You know, the usual targets for bad things. In the end, my parents trust me enough to know that I'm going to make the right decisions and I'm going to be responsible. Some members of my family, however, were like, you're going to die. Don't get in a taxi, you're going to get kidnapped. You're going to get all this shitty stuff happen to you if you go. So that was kind of not the best, but if you want to go somewhere, just go. And if you're 18, you're an adult, you can make your own decisions. You don't need your parents' permission. So if you really want to go to Southeast Asia, do it. Just make sure you're responsible. Is Southeast Asia safe? This is a bit of a loaded question because it really depends what you do there. So yes, most of Southeast Asia is safe. Check for travel alerts before you go. Someone asked if you need to be wary of your bags. Yes, you do. Probably a bit more so than you would in your own country. But I mean, I'm usually wary of all my belongings wherever I go anyway, even if I'm just going down to the shops. I always make sure I have my phone and wallet on me. I don't leave it in the car. I don't leave my car unlocked. Don't leave our front door unlocked. Just don't invite bad things to happen. A lot of people have had their bags stolen in Asia. I met a few people who told me their stories. One girl, all her belongings had been stolen except for her passport, so all her money, all her clothes was gone. But this was not by local people, this was by other travellers. That's why you should always bring a lock for your bag. You know, if someone's opportunistic enough, then yeah, they're probably going to try and take something from you. However, most people are pretty good, and other travellers, because they're all in the same boat, they are willing to help you, but you know, there's bad people everywhere. Just read the room. I thought that I wasn't going to bring my bag anywhere. Like, even if I went to the beach, I was like, no, I just won't bring anything. But it's not realistic. When something bad's gonna happen, then it's gonna happen. The least you can do is just make sure that everything is locked, or you're keeping an eye on it, or you're with other people that can look after it. Overall, Southeast Asia, I felt extremely safe. I don't think there was any times where I actually felt scared, or except maybe one. So it was my first day in Bali. This was in Kuta, by the way, which if you go to Bali, just don't go there. I was thinking, hey, since I'm here, I'm gonna go explore the beach, go look around the town, see what it's like. After a while, I ended up going through this shopping centre, which kind of took me to this street that was behind the main drag. And when I got there, I was like, oh, this is really nice. Like, no one's trying to sell me anything. It's pretty quiet. And then I'm just walking along, minding my own business, thinking this is sick, I'm in a new country. And then this guy on a motorbike pulls up next to me and he's like, hey, you shouldn't be walking around here because I got robbed yesterday. And I was like, okay, awesome. I don't really know what his intentions were, because at first I thought maybe he was gonna try and get me to go with him by scaring me into thinking that I was in this really unsafe place, but he just kind of like, be careful, and then he left. So I don't know, maybe his intention was just to make me shit my pants. Anyway, so for the next half an hour I was freaking out because that's how long it took me to get back to my accommodation. I was kind of like looking around and like, oh my god, someone's gonna kidnap me. But they didn't, and I was fine. So yeah, that was really the only time that I was kind of like a little bit scared, but at the end of the day I was still kind of like, I don't really feel like it's unsafe. One thing I do recommend is always paying for your safety. And I'm a massive stan, so for me to say this, like, please take it on board. If you can walk home, but it's late at night and, you know, taxis are not that expensive unless they try and rip you off. Beware of taxi drivers. They are. But most of the time you can get them for really cheap. If it is only a K away and you could walk, but it's kind of late and you're alone and you're not really feeling like it's a good idea, then just get a taxi or get people to walk with you. Just exercise normal common sense. Like, don't go down a dark alleyway at night. I wouldn't even do that here in Australia, which is super safe. Did it ever get lonely? When you talk about going solo traveling, just keep in mind that you're never actually alone, unless you're like actually staying in a place that's completely removed from society and you're the only person staying there. Then yeah, it could get a bit lonely. I stayed in hostels the whole time and I met heaps of people. There were always people around, so even if I wasn't actively hanging out with someone, there was always people in my room or just around. I didn't really get lonely per se. One thing that I was surprised about though was that I did get a bit homesick. Definitely towards the end, I was really tired, felt like I'd kind of seen everything that I needed to, and yeah, I was definitely ready to come home. So that was kind of a nice surprise because I never really feel that homesick before. My advice to you, if you are at a young age and you do want to go traveling, just do it. Just save up enough money, just book the flight and just go. And even if you have uni or work or whatever, just whatever, just do it. It's so easy, it's so cheap, yeah, so I think that's kind of all I wanted to talk about in this video. I'm going to do a separate video on packing and also on how to save and budget for an overseas trip. So stay tuned for that. I hope you enjoyed, and there you go, first video done. Smashed it. I'm never doing that again. Bye.